Hi again, Taikenzor. And from the last tutorial, we looked at the highlight filter module as well as the tone. And we noticed that they both have similar properties. One thing is that they have different functions. So last time I didn't have a color card, but now I do, just so we can see the background easier, especially when we go to the render view. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you how to use them both at the same time. Now, this is very important, especially if you want to have really good effects concerning your shading and your lighting. If you want to do that, and that's something good for you to know how to do. So this time, instead of using these nice little shadings based on imagination, we're just going to use the actual pepper itself, although it's probably going to give a slight bevel effect. Well, maybe it might be better for me to use something completely different. So we'll just go with something simple like, say for example, I guess I could draw a bone or something. So let's do that. We can just pluck our pepper out, have our highlight, just delete that, and work with these two things here. So new drawing, just draw a nice little bone, something simple, something easy. Okay, so not perfect, but whatever. So we got a bone, and this bone is simple, easy to do. So I'm just going to give it a nice color, not necessarily white because that won't work so well when we use our highlight. So I'm just going to give it a different color, call this one bone. Give it a slight brownish color, kind of like fresh off the meat just cooked off or something, but not too dark. So working with something like this. Just fill that in and we got a nice little, or you could say like a doggy treat. Maybe that's easier. Alright, so let's change that to a dark brown then. Okay. So here we got a doggy bone. And we're back in our network view. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to add a highlight and a tone. So we're going to look at trying to add a highlight at the top here and the tone at the bottom. I'm actually going to use the same drawing that we have here. So instead of actually drawing something new, we're going to try and use the same bone and get our shading done. It's going to take a little more advanced stuff. So before we get into that, maybe we ought to do a simple one first, which includes drawings, and then we're going to go into the more complex stuff. So I'm going to just get myself another drawing. Of course, I'm going to add this to my tone first because tone is what I want to use. So tone, add a new drawing. Call this one dark. Sorry. Put this in our tone and start drawing. And like I said before, it doesn't really matter what the colors you use unless you're actually going to use the matte color. So we're just going to work with the tone first. So let's say our lighting's under here. So we're just going to do something. So something simple. Okay, fill that in. And so we got a little shading for or dog bone thing. So render view looks something like this. Of course, the properties that I had before from the last one, I could just decrease the radius back to 2, which is the default, and it will look something like this. So if you prefer a higher radius, that'd be good. Just remember that the higher the properties of your filters, the longer it's going to take to render it, especially if you're using an animation. Now I'm going to add another drawing, and we'll just call this one light. And of course, the way how light is going to go is we're actually going to attach it to the highlight. So here's what's going to happen. If you notice that the highlight has something, what is it going to, well, effectually highlight, and what is it going to use to make the highlight? So we're going to use light as the highlight. But what we want to do is that we want to use the total of these three, the tone itself also, to go through our highlight before it goes back to the composite. So I'm going to actually allow this here to go through my highlight, and then I'm going to add the highlight back to the composite. So what's going to happen now is going to treat the tone as though it was a single drawing. So let's pretend this was a drawing that was drawn. We're going to treat it as though it's a single drawing, but we're going to add a highlight to it. So we're going to go back, choose a color. I guess we can still work with the vectorized line. Go back to our network, click there, and we're just going to add a nice little highlight upon our bone. Something simple, something clean. Right, so go there, do our highlight, and fill that in. And so now we have something with both a highlight as well as a tone. So it's really about how you understand your composite. If you treat stuff as a single drawing, it might be easier for you to understand. So if I was to group this, it might be easier for you to understand. So I'm just going to group this. So group, I guess I'll use a group with a composite. And say for example, this is our bone that actually has the tone already. Inside it, we see the tone taking place, going to a composite coming out. We go back to the top, we use our highlight. Of course, I'm going to change some of the properties of the highlight because maybe it's a little too bright going on there. So I could increase the radius to 20 like the other one, as well as I could take off multiplicative. You'll see it looks more white there. Or I could drop the alpha. So I'll just drop this down to say 75, and now we have a bone. If I felt like I wanted to move this bone, then I could treat everything as one and add a peg to it, and then we work from there. But of course, that's not hard. Just add a peg layer. Of course, attach everything to this one peg. The reason why we have two outputs for pegs is because both our drawings inside here have the animate using animation tools, so those can actually be manipulated on their own. Let's say for example we had this here and we wanted to rotate it. Of course, still got some problems there, and why I sometimes don't recommend using a peg along with drawings that can do this, because it causes problems later on. So let's just turn these off and see what happens. May give the same problem. Oh, who knows? Let's try it out anyways. So it doesn't. So we go to our render view and we see this. That's kind of weird, seeing as the lighting is kind of Oh, well, we could actually fix that. I'm going to show you how to do this without using multiple drawings. We're going to use the same bone drawing and then try to get a similar result and see how that works along with the rotation. So this is another one for your trial. So as long as you're practicing, that's the best thing. You can't exactly become a great animator or a compositor for animation if you don't practice. So remember, if you're going to be a good animator, you got to practice. Alright, so that's the end of another tutorial, and in the next one we're just going to do the thing I just said a while ago, using the single bone itself to add both a highlight and a tone. So take care till next time. God bless, and y'all take care.